Those of you that have been subscribed to my channel for a while will know that I'm a huge Nintendo Switch fan, and for those of you that aren't subscribed, bang, fix that right now, we'll become best friends. You can also touch a bell and it will notify you of all the videos and you'll never miss a single one. And trust me, you don't want to miss a video on this channel because sometimes they don't suck. Occasionally, once every couple of weeks, there's an okay one. And you don't want to miss it. And I like to do a lot of these is it worth it videos. Is the Wii U worth it? Is the Nintendo Switch worth it? Is Blaster Master Zero worth it? Yes is the answer to all of those. But one that I've been asking people myself lately is ARMS worth it? Because it's got the full Nintendo price tag on it of like $80 here in Canada. And I really don't want to go ahead and drop that on a game that is simply just a Wii motion control boxing type game. I'm really not in the mood to solely play some Wii boxing. If I wanted to play some Wii boxing, I'd pick up Wii Sports and I'd box to my heart's content. So is it worth going out and buying a new boxing game for the Nintendo Switch? We're gonna find out together today if that game is worth it, because I'm actually going to go and pick up the game right now, and you guys are gonna come with me. And we're gonna go on a journey today down to EB Games, otherwise known as GameStop. I just found out that at EB Games, if you trade in 3 games that are worth $10 or more in trading credit, you get any new release or pre-order for free. Ugh. It looked way darker from the outside of my house. It's 8 p.m. right now. Canada is weird. I'm also cutting it relatively close because they close in an hour. I really haven't even driven in Canada that much. I hope it's pretty much the same. We're about to find out. Also, this car has a sunroof, and I really like that because I've never had a sunroof before. It's really slow. Everyone's on the wrong side of the road! Why is everyone driving on the wrong side of the road? This is freaking me out. This is Canada. I thought you guys were on board. You guys have kilometers. Why do you guys drive like Americans?
In 300 meters, turn right onto Colma Lake Avenue. On Goggle Hardy Way for 3 kilometers.
Oh, don't you die? Yeah, no! It's getting a little loud. I might put it back up. I've never parked in here, actually. This is new. There's a car wash in here. This car does need a wash. Do this, let's get arms. Let's get arms. I have 29 minutes. That should be more than enough. I found a list online of all the games that were acceptable in the trade little deal they got going on, and these ones fit the bill, so we shouldn't have any issues. And if we do, I'm gonna be so displeased. Just displeased. Not like too mad about it, just displeased. I always feel weird walking into a mall to trade games because I'm walking around with just a stack of games in my hand, like I stole them. I don't even like in a bag or anything. I just feel like I look weird. Do I look weird? They said yes. Hi, how are you? So I'm hoping that some of these will qualify for the trade 3 get arms, hopefully. Get arms. Okay. Got some arm bands. Adequate. Thank you. So I finally picked up my copy of ARMS and I'm excited to get home and find out if this game is actually worth it. So let's go. You know you're a real Canadian when you shop in the real Canadian superstore getting dinner. Have you heard of the Nintendo Switch?
I don't have a Nintendo list.
No, Nintendo Switch. Have you ever heard of the Nintendo Switch? No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I don't know what's that.
That's okay. No, that's fine. I'm fine. I was just trying to make conversation. Have you heard of the Nintendo Switch?
Please proceed to register 11.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch. That guy had no idea what a Nintendo Switch was. Honestly, so excited. I was thinking about it. I didn't know if I should get it, but it's always one of them things where if I see a deal, I just have to jump on it. And when I saw 30% off of chicken and quinoa, I knew I was 100% going home with this today. I also got arms, but I got the chicken. Where did I park? ARMS for the Nintendo Switch. I know you guys have one question, so let's ask it. Would you say the game is worth it?
I think so, yeah. It's a lot better as a party game than like a single player kind of experience. It's a little bit like 1-2 Switch in that aspect.
1-2 Switch sucks, so don't say that.
It's in the sense that it's a party game.
Okay.
I mean, you can play it as a single player game and it's fun, yeah, but it's better if you're playing with a friend.
So ARMS for the Nintendo Switch. Is it worth it? I've had the game for a few days now. I wanted to actually, initially I was just gonna come home and give my first impressions on the game, but I decided I want to actually do it some justice. Actually play the game for a few days and see how I actually felt about it so I could get a little bit more in depth with the review. I'm out of breath, give me a second. And while I don't feel like I've played it enough to the point where I can really critique it 100%, I feel like I get the ins and outs and the gist and the jabs and the gist and the flabs. What? Essentially, I've tried all the modes and I've completed the Grand Prix a couple times and I've played it enough to figure out who my favorite characters are, who I like playing as, and sort of some little cool things about the game that I want to share with you guys. Before we get to the actual is it worth it part, I want to say the reason why I was asking the question, is it worth it, was mostly because looking from the outside in and everything I saw of the game without actually physically playing it, it just looked like Wii boxing. It looked like it had a couple extra little flashy pizzazz parts to it apart from that, but essentially when it came down to it, it looked like I would be playing Wii boxing. But it is not that really at all. There is definitely more levels to it. I think the best way of explaining it is, imagine you've never played Smash Brothers before and you're looking at it from the outside in and it just looks like a bunch of Nintendo characters fighting, and it almost seems like there's no way that could be a technical fighter. It's just like a fun game with no real skill to it. You're just kind of Mario throwing fireballs, right? But when you actually play it and you get to know the game, you start to realize how technical a fighter it can actually be. And when you get good at that game and master all the little ins and outs of the game and learn every character and what every character does differently to other characters and how to fight that character or how to play as that character, suddenly that game gets way more technical and there's way more levels to it than you first realized. That's something I feel heavily comes into play when it comes to ARMS. There are so many little things, unique things that even at this point, a couple days in or a few days into playing the game, that I haven't discovered about every character. Every character plays a little different. And at first I was gonna come to you guys and be like, this game is hard. And honestly, it's not an easy game really when it comes down to it, but it's not hard in the way that I first thought. At first I thought when I started playing the Grand Prix, I put it on level 6. I figured that's a nice medium mid-range level to start on, and I couldn't get past the first character. It was kicking the absolute crap out of me. So I put it down to 5. I couldn't beat the first character. I put it down to 4, finally beat the first character, moved on to the second, couldn't beat the second. Put it down to 3. Finally I was making some progress, and at first I thought, damn, this is a hard game. But as I was playing the Grand Prix, I was finding there were some characters that I would beat in an instant. In fact, the semi-final round, 8 or 9 characters in, I got a perfect on both. And that was after really struggling to get there, after having some really intense battles. And I started to realize that it was because there are certain characters I fight that really are easy because of my playstyle, because of the way I play the game. I do a lot of jumping, flipping around, I throw my hands like crazy, I do a lot of like little things that I realize that I do that for some characters, it absolutely smashes them and owns them. They can't keep up. But there are some that play very differently. For example, I got to the ninja. Forgive me for not remembering names. I don't remember names of anyone ever, even people. I suck at names. I got to the ninja character, and for the life of me, I could not beat him for the longest time. Even though the character before that was so easy for me to take down, this ninja guy just kept grabbing me. He just wouldn't stop freaking grabbing. And for me, I'm always throwing my fist. And I like playing as Min Min. Min Min's probably my favorite character to play as, because when you jump and you land, you'll charge up your electricity fist. And if you throw one and you manage to land a hit, you will stun them for a little bit. So constantly for me playing as Min Min specifically, I'm doing jumps and then trying to wait until I land to throw my fist, and that does not work with him because he is constantly throwing grabs at you, and you trying to wait to land to charge up your fist or even trying to block, a grab will go through that and it will just demolish you. And the entire time I was trying to beat him in my playstyle, I was really struggling. 8 characters in where I've been playing that playstyle the whole time, and some were easy and some were averagely hard, I needed to completely change the way that I was playing with Min Min because it wasn't getting me anywhere. I had to play a way that I felt almost uncomfortable with and messy almost because I wasn't used to it, but I took down the character. And that was the point where I saw myself being able to fall in love with the game. Up until that point, I was having fun with it. It was actually more fun than I expected, and I could see there was more levels to it than I first realized, but that was the point where I realized I can't play the same way every time with every character. I need to learn to mix it up. I need to learn all these different characters and learn different ways how to play them by mixing up their arms and mixing up my playstyle to take down different opponents. That is really unique and really cool, and I love that concept about the game. That's the thing that I think I've fallen in love with the most. This is my biggest issue with the game, and it's an issue that I had almost immediately, and it's an issue that I've seen a lot of people having, and that's the complete lack of story. There is nothing. There is no background. There's very, very minimal. You have very, very small snippets of story on these characters, and then nothing. And I feel that's a huge lost opportunity, because these characters are larger than life. They're so cool looking. They have such great designs. They're also varied. They're also different. And along with that, I want a unique story. I want something cool. And at this point, there's nothing. And something that I actually thought would be kind of cool is if they start doing an Overwatch type thing with it, where they release even just cinematic sort of videos, 5-minute, 6-minute videos slowly on the backgrounds of these characters, even if they just do it online, they do it separate to the game, or make it an unlockable in the game in a DLC further along the line, but just give some backstory. Let me see Min Min in a noodle shop. What happened to Min Min in a noodle shop that got her to the point where she wanted to compete in this tournament? Like, what is it about these characters that got them where they are? I don't need like an intricate story in this game. Maybe save that for a sequel, put some actual time and effort into it for the next game. Now that you have your core gameplay mechanics and you have everything that makes the game great, you can really work on the sequel with just doing tweaks and refining the gameplay, but you already have that base there to spend more time on doing a story. I don't mind that. But in the meantime, sort of outsource this to some other people, some other creators, some other video creators, and see what they can do with it. Final issue with the game, and this really, really, really plays into if I end up thinking the game is worth it or not, and that's replayability. For a single player aspect, for just you taking this game home to play on your own, you will have fun with it for a week or two, and then I can easily see that being it. It's definitely a party game. It's definitely something that you need friends with in the long run to play with.
I mean, you can play it as a single player game and it's fun, yeah, but it's better if you're playing with a friend.
And unless you love playing online and a community of people that don't have a way of speaking to each other yet, there's not really a huge incentive to keep playing this game. You have the Grand Prix mode, and then you have the party modes, which honestly, they're okay. They're not that great. They're really not that great. They're not even remotely close to as exciting as I feel all of them could be. Apart from just trying to get really, really, really good at the game, to kick your friends' asses, to show off to your friends, and be the best ARMS player you can be, there is no replayability beyond that. At least for me anyway. I like fighting games. I am having a lot of fun with this game. Smash Brothers is one of the only few fighting games that I can just play on repeat no matter what. There's something about that game, whether it be nostalgia or just my deep love for Nintendo and all the characters and all the IPs that are involved in that game, that make it so awesome that I can pick the game up and play it anytime. But games like Street Fighter, they're awesome when I'm out in an arcade with a friend and we can throw down on a couple of beers at a barcade and play some Street Fighter, and I can kick their ass. If I have a friend over and they want to play Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and they really want to lose to me as Dante and Virgil, that's fine. I'll give them the chance to get absolutely creamed. But I don't sit down on my own and play those games. I've never been that kind of guy. So for me personally, replayability on a fighter like this, there's really no replayability there for me. There's a few more things I just want to touch on real quick. First, the music's fantastic. I'm really pleased with the music in this game. From the second you load it up and that music hits, you'll be ready to throw some gloves. Graphically, the way it looks and feels is incredible. It looks really, really, really nice and crisp on the Switch, and it runs really well. I've had zero issues, no frame rate issues, nothing like that. Motion controls, I really like using motion controls for this game. Usually I'm not huge on motion controls and I turn them off, but turning them off in this game seems kind of pointless. Like, it seems like the whole point of this game is motion controls, and honestly, they're fun. For one of the very few times I've said that about a game that relies heavily on motion controls, it's actually fun. If you want to turn it off, I have tried using the Pro Controller, and I've also tried using the single Joy-Con. Single Joy-Con is rough, but the Pro Controller, it's honestly, I can see you playing it that way just fine, but for me, I feel like I'm missing out on the whole point, so I personally try my best to use motion controls. I feel like I'm not hindered by it, which is a really great feeling. I know in a lot of games you use motion controls, and like, especially like Mario Kart, you really feel like you're hindered by them. Once you learn to punch straight so you don't accidentally curve, then you're pretty much golden on the motion controls. Overall, I'm impressed, and I like it a lot more than I thought I would, and I personally am glad that I picked it up, especially with that deal of trading 3 into EB games. That was definitely worth picking this up for that deal. I had 3 games that I wasn't using that I had finished or I had duplicates of, and I got this really, really cheap. I ended up saving myself like $40 end of the day. That was definitely definitely worth it for this game. It was definitely worth it for me getting the upgrade. However, is it worth you going up and dropping 80 bucks Canadian, 60 bucks American, or I'm guessing about 80 Australian, or wherever you are? You know, every time I've done one of these is it worth it videos, I've always gone into it with a clear-cut answer. Can say this much. If you've ever looked at ARMS and thought, I might like that, you will most likely like it. It's everything that you think it is going to be and more. Until you've played it, until it's in your hands, you've thrown a few punches, you've had a few rounds, and you've got to know the characters, you really don't get an understanding of how deep this game can go until you've played it and you've learnt it and you fleshed it out. So if you look at this like it's something you might enjoy, that you like the concept of, I can almost guarantee you that yes, it's worth picking up, and yes, you are gonna have a good time. But if you are someone that looks at this and thinks to themselves, I'm not really into fighting games, I'm not really into Wii boxing, I don't really like motion controls, I'm not sure if it's something that I want to pick up, I gotta say, you probably won't have a fantastic time. It's definitely, no pun intended, a hit or a miss type game. Is it worth picking up this game? Is it worth paying full retail? If I had $60 in my pocket right now, and I had all the other Switch games I wanted, and there was nothing else I was really interested in for other systems, and I just wanted to play a new Nintendo IP, or I just wanted to add to my Switch library and play a game that I thought looked pretty cool, it's 100% worth it. If you guys can't tell, I honestly had a really hard time reviewing this game because I wasn't too sure which direction to go in. It was a game that I decided to review before I even picked it up, which probably isn't always the best idea because I didn't know what to say about it once I had it. But remember to like this video, leave a comment down below, be subscribed if not already, because y'all know that it really helps the channel. Let me know if you end up picking up ARMS or if you have it already, and if you do have it, what did you think of it? I would really like to know. I would love to see you guys in the next video. So until next time. Oh, I forgot that I have a bad back today.